everyone, Nikki for Christ Ward here. I'm finally telling my story about my pregnancy, how my baby died twice and was born almost 4 months early, and a very sensitive but serious topic. So if you're interested, please stay tuned. My son right now, I just want to let you know that he is healthy. He's doing very well. He's 5. And I know you're probably like, girl, why did you wait 5 years to tell this story? Honestly, it was a difficult, like emotional journey where after the situation, it was really hard to even talk about and to share. I went through these things in my pregnancy, and I was up all night, like I couldn't sleep, and I was just up all night Googling and searching like on YouTube, and I don't know, I read books trying to find out like what was going on with me, just Googling and researching my signs and my symptoms. And after searching it, basically the results that I got back was horrifying. Okay, it was terrible. Like, it came with horrible pictures and just basically horrible outcomes that happened to that person sharing their story. So because this is a horrible story that turned out to be a beautiful outcome, I want to share it, hoping that it will run into someone that is searching for answers. Maybe they have the same symptoms that I had during my pregnancy. It could be encouraging to someone, to help them to know that, you know what, things may look bad, but there is hope. Okay, there's always hope. So about 6 weeks in my pregnancy is about when I found out that I was actually pregnant. And at this time, I was working in the nursing field doing patient care. Had found I didn't really share with everybody, tell everybody what was going on. I have had miscarriages before, and so I am one of those that are like not quick to say as soon as I find out when I'm pregnant. I'm not quick to share that news until after about 3 months or sometimes even further. So I was at work at this particular day, and I was helping a patient. I don't remember the details of what I was doing with the patient, but I remember being in the patient room, and I must have reached over the wrong way or stretched the wrong way, and I heard like this little kink, like a snap of something. I have no idea what it was, but I also kind of like felt this little snap or a tear or something. Then a few minutes later, I felt this trickle. Okay, so I like hurried up and tried to finish what I was doing with that patient, and I ran to the restroom. So I am going to give a little warning that I should have gave probably sooner, but it is a little bit TMI, but I'm going to try to be like as transparent as possible because I want to tell the whole story, not sugarcoat anything. It is a little TMI, and you know, it is what it is. So basically I went to the restroom and realized that I was bleeding, that I started kind of like spotting just little trickles. So I went to my the charge nurse at the time and just let her know, like, I need to go to the ER. I'm having some difficulties right now. And she was a little confused because, again, I hadn't told anybody, actually, just me and my husband. My husband knew. And so we get to the ER. I get to the ER. I call my husband on the way to the ER. He meets me there. We actually went to Clovis Community in Fresno, here in Fresno, California. Lots of blood work. They checked my vitals, and they did an ultrasound. They did a very thorough ultrasound, and after they did all the tests and everything, basically the doctor came and let me and my husband know that I had a miscarriage. Okay, yes. They told me I had a miscarriage, y'all. Okay, this was my husband's first child, and I had 2 prior that are like teenagers now at this point, but I had 2 prior to getting married to my husband. And so this was really hard for me. I felt like I had let my husband down. I felt really, me and my husband we were hurt. Like, we were really hurt. The doctor at the time sent me home with a letter stating that I had a miscarriage, and he also gave me like narcotics. Okay, I think it was like Norco or something, some kind of narcotic for the cramping. I was having really bad cramps, And let me just say, y'all, like, I'm grateful that I'm not like a narcotic person. Okay, I don't do like prescription pain pills. Like, I don't. Tylenol for me is really, really strong. It's supposed to be non-drowsy, but it does make me drowsy. Okay, it does make me sleepy. So Tylenol has always been like the only thing that like I will literally like take if the pain is really, really bad. Okay. The other thing that was super embarrassing, y'all, it was embarrassing to roll up at my job, and like basically I took 3 weeks off of my job. I think I took 3 weeks off of work, went to my job, and basically told them, like, gave them the papers that the doctors from the emergency had gave me, that I had a miscarriage. Okay, gave them the papers, I had a miscarriage. And because basically at this time, like, I believed them, like I felt like they're medical professionals, right? Like they know, they did the ultrasound, there was all up in my stuff, like they should know, right? Like they know. So basically they gave me a follow-up appointment to see my regular OB doctor. So I went to that appointment, and basically my OB doctor at the time was explaining to me that that it looked like I had a miscarriage, and I honestly don't remember how many weeks at that time that I was pregnant when I went through this whole miscarriage thing, but basically they were telling me how many weeks pregnant that I should be, and that my HCG level, which is like the hormone level that all like only pregnant women of course have. So there's like a number to your hormone level, and that hormone level should have been like I guess 700 to 1,000 at the time or something like that, and my hormone level was 5. Okay, so basically they wanted to see it go down to 0 now that I've had supposedly okay, like have had this miscarriage. Okay, so it's supposed to have went down to 0. So they were basically saying, like, if the hormone levels do not go down to 0, that I would have to have something that's called a D&C, which is like a scraping of the uterus, where they kind of just go in, they scrape the inside of your uterus, and they just make sure that everything is out of your body, so that your body knows that you're no longer pregnant. Okay, so I was like, man, like I do not want to go in here and have this D&C because of this. So at this age that I'm at, like I was not trying to have a second D&C done on me. Okay, so I'm just like, Lord Jesus, like help me to like do whatever I have to do to make sure that I don't need this procedure. Okay, this like D&C. So what the doctor decided to do is set me up several appointments where I had to go back and forth to the lab. So I think I went either once a week or twice a week. I had to go to the lab to get blood work done, and I did that I think for 2 weeks. So by the 2nd or 3rd week, I remember I was with my 2 older kids. I got myself dressed and I took my kids out just so that they can have like a little fun-filled day. And I remember when I got the phone call, we were actually like in Wiener Schnitzel. I was getting them hot dogs and ice cream and stuff, and I had just came out the bathroom because, again, like y'all, I was like, TMI, I know, but I was bleeding so horribly bad. So I get the phone call from the doctor, and the doctor's like, girl, the doctor's basically like, you know that time we told you that you had a miscarriage? And they're like, just kidding. Like, basically they were pretty much telling me like, your hormone levels have tripled within the past couple of weeks, and they are now at the regular level. I think at that time it was like 10,000 something. I don't know, don't really remember what the hormone levels were supposed to be, but it was tripled the amount that it was a couple weeks ago. And I was just like, so what the heck does that mean? Like, what are you saying? Like, I don't get it. What are you saying to me? Like, do I have to have the D&C or not? And they're like, basically, Nicole, like, you're still pregnant. I know. I was like, let me sit down, because I was standing to the side. My kids was waiting for their food, their ice cream and stuff to come, and I'm standing to the side, and I almost passed out. I was like, let me sit down, because these people they plan too much, like, you know. And she was just like, basically like, we need you to come in as soon as possible, but basically your blood test and everything is coming back as if like you're still pregnant. So, of course, it was only answers that the doctor could answer. But let me just let y'all know, just to keep this story short, that throughout the 6 months that I was pregnant, nobody had answers. Okay, nobody could give me answers. So, I go to my doctor's appointment. They check me out and everything. They look at the baby. The baby is there. Actually, the first thing I think she did was listen for the heartbeat. She said it sounded really strong. Everything looked fine. The only thing was just like my bleeding. So I was just bleeding so much, and they honestly did not understand or know like what the bleeding was coming from, why I was bleeding so much. So from there on, I just basically had to see a specialist. I was just basically considered high risk pregnancy, and I had to go like every week getting an ultrasound. That was a blessing. That was amazing to me. So basically, let's just fast forward the story to, I think I want to say I went to 4 months pregnant and started doing great. Like no bleeding, no more bleeding. The baby seemed to be growing fine. My due date originally was May 5th, which was like Cinco de Mayo, is why I always can be clear and understand. Like, I know I said I had a miscarriage because that's what they told me, but then I end up later having my baby early. Okay, so he was supposed to be due May 5th, and here it is December. I'm not bleeding anymore. Of course, I'm still seeing a specialist and stuff like that. I still have high risk pregnancy, but from what the doctor says, like, I'm pregnant. I know. I was like, let me sit down, because I was standing to the side. My kids was waiting for their food, their ice cream and stuff to come, and I'm standing to the side, and I almost passed out. I was like, let me sit down, because these people they plan too much, like, you know. And she was just like, basically like, we need you to come in as soon as possible, but basically your blood test and everything is coming back as if like you're still pregnant. So of course, it was only answers that the doctor could answer. But let me just let y'all know, just to keep this story short, that throughout the 6 months that I was pregnant, nobody had answers. Okay, nobody could give me answers. So I go to my doctor's appointment. They check me out and everything. They look at the baby. The baby is there. Actually, the first thing I think she did was listen for the heartbeat. She said it sounded really strong. Everything looked fine. The only thing was just like my bleeding. So I was just bleeding so much, and they honestly did not understand or know like what the bleeding was coming from, why I was bleeding so much. So from there on, I just basically had to see a specialist. I was just basically considered high risk pregnancy, and I had to go like every week getting an ultrasound. That was a blessing. That was amazing to me. So basically, let's just fast forward the story to, I think I want to say I went to 4 months pregnant and started doing great. Like no bleeding, no more bleeding. The baby seemed to be growing fine. My due date originally was May 5th, which was like Cinco de Mayo, is why I always can be clear and understand. Like, I know I said I had a miscarriage because that's what they told me, but then I end up later having my baby early. Okay, so he was supposed to be due May 5th, and here it is December. I'm not bleeding anymore. Of course, I'm still seeing a specialist and stuff like that. I still have high risk pregnancy, but from what the doctor says, like, everything looked normal, everything looked fine. We did like a little gender reveal, found out that we were having a boy. And I was excited. We're all excited about everything. But again, with me working in healthcare, nursing field at this time, it started becoming flu season. So basically they're like to wear a mask all day at work when I do patient care. When you're pregnant, like, you can barely breathe anyway. There's no way I can do that all day. Or get the flu shot. And I've explained to them, like, in the past when I have had the flu shot, which was like one time, but the one time that I got the flu shot in the past, I got the flu. And they were like, no, girl.
You cannot get the flu from the flu shot. Like, the flu shot is not a live virus, it's a dead virus, blah, blah.
Blah, yeah. Let me tell you, y'all, I got the flu shot so I could continue working and doing patient care. And I ended up being sick. Like 3 or 4 days later, I ended up getting the flu. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that other people may be able to relate or need to hear this encouraging story.